Have you ever had unplanned threesomes with your so? How did they go? A few years ago we were out for a friend's birthday party. My so and I didn't know anyone in the group other than the birthday girl. We were all at a club dancing and having a good time. Well, we were all feeling pretty good. I was at the bar getting another round of drinks when one of the other girls, call her Kay, comes up and orders next to me. We made small talk and I just threw her drinks on my tab. We head back to one of the table and my so sits on my lap and then Kay sits next to us. We start chatting and Kay and my so start talking about panties and which ones are most comfortable, etc. They then ask me and I joke and say no panties. Kay laughs and says casually, well, you would like mine. My GF, who has had no B experience and is actually pretty vanilla, blurts out, well, show us then. Kay complies and discreetly slides up her dress to reveal she has none on. We end up back at our place, all naked, romping in bed, exploring each other. The story is a lot of more detailed than that, but I don't want to ramble. We woke up the next morning, went for round 2, took a shower, and I made them breakfast. We still chat with Kay every once in a while and share pics and videos. Unfortunately we live in different cities. No, feel free to ramble. You're among friends. Kay, honestly dude, you lucky. Super hot. I'd love to hear more details. Somewhat. We were on a vacation with my fiancé and my sports team. The team had a house to stay at, while fiancé and I had our own place. The team captain was my best friend and also there. Though my team usually looked poorly at my fiancé, they started to open up to him during the vacation. One night while I was out for a walk with my best friend, she started to talk appreciatively of him and even went on how she would actually sleep with him, by opposition to how she used to claim he disgusted her. I had been telling for some time to my fiancé about how I'd sort of like to bring another girl to the bedroom if we could find a right one. But we were doubtful that there would be someone interested, and he assumed that was never happening, and we never made plans beyond me telling him about that sort of fantasy of mine, and how that seemed okay with him. I told my best friend I was okay with her sleeping with my fiancé if we made a best effort to try a threesome afterwards. She was much more interested in the threesome. It was curiosity time. I brought her to my fiancé and I's place, where we explained we'd like a threesome, and he was completely taken off guard. Still had it after some seduction and reassurance. This is like my fantasy incarnate. My wife coming in and saying, hey, this chick wants to have sex with us. You are so awesome. Yes. It first started in her dorm room, where we were having sex, and her best friend was across the room from us, in bed. We were being relatively quiet, thinking she was asleep. We'd done it a couple of times before. She told us it was okay by her, as long as she was asleep. Anyway, this particular time, she called over to us and asked if she could watch. We were both game, and she watched us and played with herself, and we all came around the same time. A few months later, same thing, except she asked if she could join in. And we were game. My GF and I had talked about it after the first incident, so she joined us. Started off with me kissing her, getting her naked, and the rest is history, as they say. We did stuff with her a couple more times, until she got together with a great guy. They're still together, as are my GF and I. Wholesome threesome. How did she ask? Like, how can that not be super awkward? One evening her BFF came over to visit us, just because they hadn't seen each other in a few months. No intention whatsoever, no lesbian tendencies on my so, or on her BFF, never ever until then. So here we were, after around 2 glasses of wine each, after the movie we watched had ended, and while discussing a sad scene, they hug each other, and the next moment they just kiss, a simple innocent lips kiss. We all look at each other, we are like, what just happened? And then one thing leads to another, and so. Millie and me and chill. I'd probably be crying like a bitch, while the other 2 girls are eating each other out. I had a few with an ex of mine. We dated for 3 years and early on I knew she was bisexual. She said if the opportunity arose for a threesome she would be down, but specifically said she wasn't interested in planning one. She wanted it to be an organic experience. We never had issues with our relationship as a result. We often would check out women together, so she wasn't really worried about me appreciating other women's bodies. There was one girl who tried wedge herself between us. She was a friend from the clubs that we knew, and she was really into my girlfriend at first. Then once we slept together she was really into me. I kind of had a feeling she was catching feelings after the second time we all hooked up. I told my lady and she concurred. We both decided it was a good idea to not involve her in our life anymore. A couple weeks later my girlfriend went out of town and friend girl showed up randomly at our apartment and put on the full court press. I eventually told her she needed to leave and let my girlfriend know what happened. That was the end of that fun. My rule with involving other people in your relationship is this: if you ever feel like any part of it needs to be kept from your partner, you probably shouldn't be doing it. Communication is key. An old girlfriend and I were playing Monopoly with my best friend at the time. As Monopoly goes sometimes, it started to get boring. Eventually my girlfriend ran out of money and landed on my buddy's property that required a sizable rent. She offered to take off a piece of clothing in lieu of rent as a joke. He took her up on it. She slipped off a sock. Then as each of us landed on each other's properties we offered each other the same deal. Again, it started as a joke, but pretty soon it was just a means to get each other naked. I'll never forget my girlfriend was down to just her bra and panties, and when she landed on my buddy's property, she just did a long sigh and said, "Well, I guess we are doing this," and off went her bra. After about 20 minutes we all ended up naked. Then, instead of articles of clothing we offered up acts. We all ended up doing various things to each other and ended with me having sex with my girlfriend while she sucked off my friend. We had a few more threesomes with him after that. Good times. Damn, as someone with a SO and a group of friends that enjoy Monopoly, this gives me so many ideas. Yeah, MFMs are underrated. Not with an SO, but two exes who I had a FWB relationship with. They both knew I was sleeping with the other and didn't care. They got along and hung out from time to time. We were all up at my place one day just hanging out when X1 was rubbing my back. The other may have gotten jealous. She moved closer and started rubbing my hair. I jokingly told them they better chill or this was going to get a lot hotter a lot quicker. One of them said, "What's stopping you?" And the other, while a bit more hesitant, laughed. I sat up and kissed them both. I undressed them both and they undressed me. There was still a little hesitation from X2, but X1 leaned over and kissed her and she reciprocated. It was on like Donkey Kong from that second. It was my first threesome. I had another years later with X1 and a friend of hers, but never again with X2. This experience was fun, and I had a good time, but I think we should have talked with X2 a little more first. I think she felt pressured to go along, and she wasn't as into it as X1. She got her feelings hurt that I came from having sex with X1, and said she felt like I preferred X1 over her. However, she took it as a challenge to get better, and our one-on-one time together got better over the next year or so that we stayed FWB. So I can answer this for my friend. I was living in an apartment with my friend and his girlfriend. They were having a party with some friends from school and were drinking and smoking. Everyone was mingling in their room and the living room. As the night goes on, a few people are leaving, and apparently they're vibing with this girl and spur of the moment decide for an impromptu threesome. They decided since my car wasn't parked out front they would use my room, since people were chilling in this. Little did they know I'd been asleep for hours and my car was gone, because I dropped it at the shop earlier that day. They come into my room and are feeling each other up and making out, undressing and whatnot. I'm asleep under a pile of blankets with my usual earplugs and sleep mask on. Apartment was by a busy road next to a street lamp. They are finally ready to get busy, so they hop onto my bed on top of me. Second girl says WTF. I wake up, say WTF, and emerge from my blanket nest and see all three of them naked in my bedroom. The non-girlfriend was mortified and ran into my bathroom to get dressed and left. Friend and his girlfriend were mad at me for ruining the opportunity, but I booted their ass out and locked the door and went back to sleep. We had an awkward conversation first thing in the morning. I'm a guy and my so is a girl. Before we were officially dating, we're out with some friends, 2 other girls and 1 guy. I can't remember exactly, but I think we went to a rave and were later hanging out at a friend's house. There was a lot of tension in the air and we all agreed it would be fun to just go somewhere and fool around. So we went back to my place, tossed the futon mattress on the floor, and just started going at it. It wasn't the best group fun we've had as we were all inexperienced and there were minor personal issues with some participants, but ultimately it was a lot of fun. So, the dude to girl? I think so. We are poly though, so it's not like that bothers me. It was just curiosity, not judgment. I find it a hot experience. That's cool. Sorry if I sounded defensive, it's something I keep on the DL in normal life, because of how some people can be.